Okay, yeah. So my name's Michael Dane, Dane like a Great Dane. I actually live in La Habra. I went to Cal State Fullerton. I graduated in '96. Went on to get my MBA. Uh, been doing marketing since high school. I was in the marketing club, kind of a marketing geek, and been able to work with a lot of big companies. Always a little consulting on the side. And then a couple years ago, I decided, hey, I just want to do consulting full time, mostly because I didn't want to drive anywhere. So works well during this time as well. So I want to talk to you about how to build a website for conversion. So most of you in your plans, you probably are going to have a website in there, but this is, practical advice that I would say if you're actually going to take this company, make it real, really launch it. These are some things you should know about how to use your website for conversion. Everybody thinks it's great. You have a website, but they're not necessarily made to convert people to do what you want them to do. So here's my hierarchy of digital media. So I've been doing marketing for a long time. I've done just about everything, but now I'm really focusing on the bottom to your email and websites. So your website is your most important marketing asset, because really that's where people are going to convert to be a customer or a supporter, whatever it is. But that's where you're going to have the conversion process take place. So that's really what I'm going to focus on tonight. How do you build the website that's actually going to convert people? And then email is kind of old fashioned, but if you think about it, we all still live in our inbox. So incorporating the email element into your website is very important. And then social media and paid ads, which I've worked on before. I don't do those anymore. I'm one person, and so I outsource that or collaborate with other people. Social media has become its own animal, and it takes a lot of effort to do it right. And so just to stay on top of that kind of thing, I've decided to focus on email websites, and the same with paid ads. So if you have your website, your email, your social media are all clicking along, and you still have some money left, and you still need more leads, then you can pay for ads. But if you look at paid ads and social media and email as well, all of them should be driving traffic to your website. So that's why the website's the most important. That's why you should do these in order. If you're like, well, where do I start? Or if you already have campaigns, what do I really make sure is the best or fix? I'd always say start with your website, because that's where people convert. So using the process of inbound marketing, that's how we're going to get traffic to our website and convert people. So I usually would ask rhetorically, what is inbound marketing? But since it's hard for you guys to answer, I'll just go ahead and answer it for you. So inbound marketing is creating content specifically designed to appeal to target customers. And inbound attracts qualified prospects and keeps them coming back for more. So if we compare traditional marketing to inbound marketing, in the past it was more cold calling. And when I talk to people about email marketing, they usually are a little turned off because well, nobody reads that. Well, that's because people are being sent email they didn't ask for, or it's not well designed. So cold emails or spam, that's not a good idea. That was in the past, interrupting people with your advertising and being really marketer centric. So inbound marketing is more about SEO, using blogging, using the right kind of content on your site, attracting people to you, and it's more customer centric instead of marketer centric. So if we see the full inbound methodology, this is the best way to turn strangers into customers and promoters of your business. So if you see here, the top it says attract, convert, close, and delight. And we're turning people from strangers who we don't know into visitors, who turn to leads, customers, and promoters. And this bottom part down here is what we're going to go through step by step and explain what this means and how we do this. So step one is to attract people. So how are we going to attract this great traffic to our website? So that's where blogs come in. Hate the name. It's a really silly sounding name, but that's what we're stuck with. So a blog, but blogs are really powerful, and it's providing really educational content that's answering questions. So when people go on a search engine, they typically type in questions. So if you have good content on your site, you're answering questions on your blog, it's more likely to show up in the search engine results page. and that's tied in with SEO and keywords. So if you're writing good content for your visitors, it's going to be full of those keywords that you need. And then of course, just having good content on your site pages, and then also sharing out that content on the social media channels. So this is a study that was done by HubSpot. It's the impact of website content on inbound leads. So what we see from this is that the more pages you have on your website, the more leads you're going to get from your website. So how do we build all these pages on our website? How do we get, up to 1,000 pages like it shows on this chart? That's where the blog comes in. Every time you do a blog post, it adds a page to your website. So we can see, again, the more blog posts you have on your website, the more it's going to increase the amount of leads you're going to get from your website. And if you do a blog post, it doesn't just live on your website. This is what you want to syndicate across your social media channels. So if you have a blog post, obviously it's on your website, but you can share it to the social channels. Wow, it says Google+. You can see I've been doing this one for a while. I need to update that slide, take Google+ off of there. But as you're creating content on your website, you want to make sure you're syndicating it out across the social channels and sharing it other places and doing email newsletters and things like that. So one of the things I talk about with my clients is they should send out a newsletter. People say, hey, I want to hear from you and I want good information. I say, well, I don't know how to write a newsletter, what to put in there. So that's where the blog comes in. I say, if you could write one blog post a week, at the end of the month, you've got 4 good pieces of content. That becomes your newsletter. So once a month, you're sending these 4 articles out, and it's unique things that you've written, which is good for your customers and potential customers. And also that's what Google loves. It loves seeing unique content, new things that you came up with. So when it looks at your website and sees all that unique content, it's going to give you a higher ranking on the search results. So then that newsletter, you have those 4 articles, and then you have 1 piece of promoting your business. So the 80-20 rule in your newsletter, you have 80% helpful content, 20% promotion of your business. So we've done a good job with our content. So we're getting traffic to our website. So how do we start to convert people once they're there? That's where forms, call to action, landing pages come in. So again, I talk with people about, do you have a call to action button on your website? And they're like, well, it's usually either no, or they have about 5 or 6. They have buttons all over the place. So you want to make sure you're focused and have a very clear call to action for your website. What do you really want people to do? And then if you do have a form that you're collecting information, just remember, the more information you ask for, the less people are going to fill out your form. So if you can get away with just getting an email address, which is what I tried to do, you start to build a relationship from there. But I work with clients, they want to ask for 11 different things and they want postal address, and I'm like, what do you need this for? And if you do need it down the road, that's something you can ask for. So remember, the more you ask for, the less people fill it out. You're probably the same way. If you go on a website and a form asks you 20 questions, like, yeah, maybe I'll come back to that. And then having landing pages or squeeze pages, which just means it's a page dedicated to getting people to fill out a form and make that decision. Some companies are selling software for that. They're called lead pages, and it's really complicated. Trust me, just have one good website and you can just build a dedicated page of that on your website. You don't need special software or landing page companies selling you products like that. So to convert the traffic, we're going to provide a good user experience, and UI, meaning user interface. Your site is really easy to use, and you want to make it easy to find products or information, and make sure your navigation is logical. It's very simple. Don't try to be real fancy with your navigation, and have some kind of search box. So we see here an example of poor user experience. There's a lot of places to click. So you want to stay away from something like this, very unfocused. I don't really even know what's going on here, but yes, this is a real website, or was. And then we'll compare that to my website, which I use For an example, even my color scheme is very low key. It's grayscale, so that you can see the call to action buttons really pop. So I'm not saying every website needs to be exactly like this, and mine is this way for a particular reason. And I really want to show people that, the button and what you want people to do needs to pop out instead of having 1,000 different choices of where you can go. So the most important question is, what do you want your users to do? And again, a lot of clients will sit down and say, well, you've got a website, you got videos and pictures and all this stuff. What do you want people to do? They say, watch a video? No, that's not really going to help you. You want people to buy your product or make an appointment or connect with you. That's the purpose of your website. And every page should have a purpose as well. So tools like that, like videos or pictures, might get people to that point, but the purpose of your website is not for people that come and watch videos. So we've done the hard work. We've gotten people to fill out a conversion form. We know who they are. It's just a matter of tying that in with a good CRM system. Myself, I'm a one-person show, so my CRM is email and spreadsheets. So I keep it pretty simple. I don't need a big complicated CRM system like Salesforce because I'm not really collaborating with a big team of people. But emails, I talked about it earlier, emails are huge. It's a way to, if someone does fill out a form, maybe they download a free ebook or something, that you're nurturing that lead and staying in touch with them. And email is really the best way to do it. And the same with current customers, people that have bought from you before, to send, stay in touch, tell them, you appreciate referrals, or you have products that are similar to things that they've bought before. So having that all set up is very important. And because that's a lot of work, you want to utilize marketing automation. So that's one of the things I do. If someone fills out, say for a client, they download an ebook or a guide, those email campaigns are set up automatically. So it takes some work to set them up, but once people fill them out, they're automatically going to get a series of follow-up email campaigns to nurture the lead. So there's my fancy newsletter there. So we've turned our people from strangers into customers, and we're nurturing them. So how do we continue to build that relationship? So obviously sending out surveys. Just a word about surveys. I've worked with people that they want to send a survey out every 6 months or so, which is good. You really, if you have that ability and people are answering it, that can really help you learn about your business. The problem is, I said, well, what did you do with the last survey we sent? What did you do with that information? I never looked at it. So make sure there's a purpose behind the survey and that you're actually taking that feedback and doing something with it. And then there's something we could do with websites today called smart CTAs, the call to action buttons, and smart content, which I'm going to show you in a second here. And then, of course, in social media, we can listen to sentiment online. Besides just sending someone a direct survey, we can monitor social networks and say, are people saying positive things or negative things about us? We could do that in aggregate, or we can actually go look and respond to people one-on-one. So for the smart content, here's an example. This is actually done with HubSpot software. Once someone has become, let's start on the left. The person coming there, we don't know who they are. We have no relationship with them. So the message is for a new person. Celebrate your health, sign up for a free account, check out the recipes. So this is welcoming a new person to our website. Now, if we already know them, the message on the right is more appropriate. Welcome back. And the way we do this is, once someone's filled out a form on our site and they come back, we're able to track that and customize that message to that person. So just to review the inbound marketing methodology, we took people from strangers into customers and then ultimately promoters of our product. So talking about the different kinds of content, I worked many hours to put this graphic together, so I hope you enjoy it. There's different types of content for each level. So there's top of the level, middle, and bottom of the level content. So examples. Top of the funnel content would be your blog. So this is, good content you have on your site, but it's usually a little bit more generic. Business, like for my website, it's business oriented. And this is trying to get people that are just kind of looking around. They're looking for answers online, hoping that they're going to come across a search result that's going to have information from my website. Then they come to my website, and then I can start to talk to them and nurture that lead. But then we want to move people down the funnel a little bit to downloadable content. So for my website, if you fill out this form, you can get all my marketing books for free, and I'll do a free website audit for you. So that's pretty good stuff. So the key here is we're trading value for value. So this means someone's come to my site, and it's good, like on the end of your blog post, say, hey, if you like this information, you might enjoy reading these books. But there needs to be something valuable, because people's information is valuable. Their email address is valuable. So you want to make sure you're offering something of value for that information. And then bottom of the funnel is a free consultation. So ultimately, this is the purpose of my website, is to get people to set up a free consultation with me so I can have that first meeting and start that relationship. But you have to understand, when people come to your website, they're not always ready for this. So that's why you have the other content. I have the blog to establish credibility. I have the middle of the funnel content, so that if someone comes to my website, but they're not ready to give me, that they want to set an appointment with me, that they don't just leave with nothing, and that I can't continue to work on that relationship. So for the downloadable content, I talk to people and just say, look, you can have 1 million visitors come to your website, but until they give you their email address or something, you don't know who they are, so they're going to leave. That's why it's really important to have some kind of content like this on your website that people can download and get more information. It's not a fit for every single business, but for a lot of businesses it is, especially if you have a longer sales cycle, or you're have a more complicated product. So the question becomes, for that gated content, we call it gated content, meaning someone's got to give me their email address before they can read it. And HubSpot has this really complex chart, but if you look at the top, that's the question: is their content any good? If it is, then yeah, do it. If not, then you need to come up with something better. So I have people, they want someone's email address, but the content they're giving isn't very good. So make sure you're actually providing something of value. So how do we target the right people with the right content? That's where personas come in. So we want to make sure if I'm writing content, if I'm writing blog posts and guides, like, who is it for? Who am I targeting? And I have to have that in mind as I'm creating that content and that information. If you want to create a buyer persona, HubSpot has one you can make for free. So the web address is on there, and I'm assuming I can make this presentation available to you guys. So this is an example of customer personas I did for a client. We came up with these really cool names. So I took, I looked at the research from like the PGA, had a lot of research online. So I went through, and they actually had a lot of this information there, like these 4 demographics, these 4 main demographics: 2 male and 2 female, like how much money they would spend on golf, how often they golf, things like that. So I took that information and then put it into our customer journey, part of the inbound marketing process. So how do we attract someone like Value Victor? How do we convert them? How do we close them? How do we delight them? What do we use in each area to effectively reach this particular persona? So how do we transform marketing into something people love? Is a slide, I'm missing that slide. Okay, sorry. So essentially the answer to that question is just creating content that people like. So going back, ads in the past was very about the company and kind of trying to get in your face and tell people who they were. This is the opposite approach where you just say, hey, let me provide a lot of useful information for you, a lot of content, and establish my credibility with you. And if it's a good match, then I'm sure you're going to choose to work with me. And if you look at my website, that's the approach I have. There's a lot of free books, articles, free online marketing class. It's all a way to establish my credibility. And if I have people coming there and that's useful information for them, it's pretty likely they're going to become a client down the road. All right, questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So for the all sorts of different content, bottom, top, and middle,
Yes.
is it all displayed on the home page at the same time, or is it directly showed to different people, visitors to your website?
Yeah, that's a good question. The homepage is tough. It's kind of like the kitchen sink of your website because you don't know where people are coming from. So you kind of got to cover your bases. So for me, I have that first initial, free consultation is definitely, because that's what I want people to do. That's why they're there. But the first thing at the top of the navigation is resources. And that's all the content that people can look at for free. So if you are doing any kind of marketing, like if it's social media or ads or even an email, you don't want to dump them to your homepage. You want to dump them to a page directly related to that particular content, and also knowing where they are in the funnel process. So this is someone I've already talked to. They've already downloaded my guide. Then I want to try to get them to set up the free consultation. If there's someone that is new, or maybe I met them somewhere and they added to my newsletter list, then I want to send them more of the top of the funnel content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess part of my question is, you obviously, if you're in contact with them directly, you'll know who they are and where they are in the funnel. But does the software, does your website kind of filter them? Like, can your website say, oh, this person visited twice already, we should show them this type of content or whatever?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things. For the form that they fill out, kind of tells you where they're coming from. And when someone fills out a form, because if it's a form for the content download, you kind of know they're kind of in the middle phase.
Okay.
They've already filled out a form as a client or even made a purchase, they're a current customer. The form they fill out should tag them. So it used to be lists of people. And I use MailChimp, which is, you guys can get it for free. That's pretty cool. Until you have like several hundred people on your list, you can actually use MailChimp for free. And the way it works now, they kind of moved away from lists into you tag people, as this is where they came in. So you can give people a tag of what kind of content they downloaded, or if you want, you could just say that, middle of the funnel. So when you're doing your campaigns, you can actually target for different tags. You could target for someone who downloaded content, or any action that you want to do.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.
Hello, I have a question also.
Okay, Mohammed.
Hello, my name is Younes. Thank you. Yeah, Mohammed Younes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, it's fine. It shows my full name. It's a long name. So when you say about the to make sure we provide a product of value, so an exchange of value when you do your content, what would define? I mean, obviously where it depends where you deliver it, but in order to make sure before you deliver like good content, it comes with like I have good taste. I know, like, let's say it depends on your taste, right? But I believe, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to like sound arrogant, but what I mean by that is that like I watch a lot of videos and organic videos, that. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good.
I can hear you.
Sorry. Okay, then my question is, like, in order to define good content, is it with the number of clicks, the views, or?
Well, obviously there's a certain amount of opinion. But yeah, well, talking about on your own website, it's that's one way to tell too. If you're saying, hey, get this free widget, and no one's signing up for your form, filling out your form, then it's probably not being perceived as valuable, whether it is or not. Does that make sense?
Not really, but it's fine. So that means you need to have experience in order to deliver or like to provide a good content. Like let's say I want to provide in my website like information that is curated, that is centered. I want them to focus on one thing, but in order to have, well, I should reformulate my question. I'm sorry. So just when you said to make sure we provide a product of value, I wanted just an input on how can you make sure to provide a product of value. That was,
Yeah, okay, and let's just be clear too, we're not talking about the product you're selling, we're talking about something you're giving away to get leads. But again, to keep it simple with my clients, like I have a guy that cleans windows. I said, okay, how about 10 ways to keep your windows clean? Like, okay. So we put together like a nice little ebook, it's just like 3 pages. So we spent more time than we did on a blog post, and we made something nice, and we had nice graphics and everything. And then, there's a little popover that comes up on his site with, has like really clean window picture and all that kind of stuff, to get people to download that guide and get on the email list. So don't overthink it. You could just start with something simple like that and see how it goes. But I will tell you, even to have something simple like that is better than having nothing there, middle of the funnel kind of content.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael.
Sure.
And then Michael, I have a question.
Yes, Daniel.
So my question is kind of like for people who want to get more into the marketing field. So with like the COVID-19 going on, what do you think the environment's going to be like for the marketers, or to like get a marketer or to purchase a marketer? Like, what's that environment going to be like?
Your guess is as good as mine, to be honest. But I think having these kind of skills, these digital skills, is really important. A lot of my clients, I would meet in person if they're local, but I have clients all over the country. Everything's done digitally. So I'd either Zoom with them. Most of the time it's just a phone call. But I think having a digital presence is going to be more and more important. And if this is something you want to do, have something nice you can showcase as for your website. If you want to build websites for people or help people with digital marketing, show them how you do it on your site, and you can share that with them. And then, follow up Zoom or phone call. But how this is going to shake out, I don't know. It's my first time going through a global quarantine.
Yeah. Okay, I was just curious because because at the school now we can go get a certificate through lynda.com. It's like LinkedIn, I guess. And I did the marketing course for it, and I got the certificate. But I was wondering, like, does that hold any weight in this new environment? Like, what if I put it on my resume? Will that kind of pop out?
I think it depends on who you're working with. I think if you're trying to get a job with a big company, all that stuff, besides learning it for yourself, people do see that. My MBA definitely helped me get jobs, but the people I'm working with now, small business owners, none of them know what my background is really, other than they know me and they want to see the work that I've done. And I think with companies, if you have a good combination of both, you're golden. If you have a good portfolio and you have the letters behind your name and the paperwork and the certifications, I think that's good. What do you think, Professor Jackson?
Yeah, I think that the goal is to say how you're different than the thundering herd of recent grads, right? And so could it be a credential? You completed a course? Could it be the creative way you present yourself? All those things. And to Michael's point, as you move forward in the job world, it's a function of what your last job was and kind of the cred you have in terms of your skills. And so what you studied and your GPA, I hate to tell you this, it's almost meaningless, all right? I'm a strong proponent of education, saying that, you need to refine your skills. But once you start working, it's what you do and what others say about you that counts.
Okay, and then I have one more question for Michael. What are some of the things that you think, if you could go back in time and change about how you came about doing marketing? Like, what are some of the things that, if we're trying to get into that field, that we should focus on? And what are some of the things we shouldn't?
Wow, never had that question.
Really good.
I would just say, I think when I was coming up, education was everything. And now I think I think education is a great path, but it's not the only path. I think, having practical experience, and I worked a lot of places trying to work my way up, which didn't actually tend to work out, or taking on clients that weren't great to work with at the beginning, but you figured, hey, down the road, this is going to pay off. It didn't tend to work out that way. So now I try to, if I'm having trouble working with a client before we even get started, they're probably going to be a problem. So I try to be a little bit more choosy, not chase people as much as I used to, and try to get the good clients. And I think if I went back, I would probably be more patient with the jobs I took too. I was a little desperate and just trying to get my foot in the door, or even taking jobs that weren't a great fit for me. And it never worked out well.
Yeah, I would also say that when it comes to technology and the tools, they're relevant for about 18 months. And what I mean is, what you did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, really isn't all that relevant. So to catch up and be at one with technology in the marketplace today from a marketing perspective, it only takes about 18 months, all right? In terms of skill set, there's no substitute for sales. And even if it's a brief period of time, I recommend everybody learn how to sell, and on the phone, in person, etc. Super valuable, because one thing Michael may agree with me is you're always selling yourself. You're selling yourself through your website, your blogs, your telephone calls, your presentations. And that is a skill that is so valuable. I strongly encourage you to embrace sales as at least a job, if not your career. Other questions for Michael?
Yeah, I just have one more. Is there a software for creating landing pages that you prefer?
So yeah, again, this is my opinion. I don't believe in having separate software just for landing pages. I think you should have one good software for website building that you could build the landing pages in there. And a landing page is just a page you build for a specific purpose. I think people are being sold a lot of stuff these days. It just means I built this page and it's just for this purpose. That's all it means. So that could be any page on your website. I use Squarespace to build websites. I used to use WordPress, but Squarespace is a lot easier to use and to set up. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's just like a few dollars a month more. And I use MailChimp for email. Again, you can start off with MailChimp for free, and then you can use it for, depending on the size of your audience, starting at like $10, $15 a month to set up all those automations and things. So I used to use HubSpot when I worked for a big company, and we were paying like, I don't know how many thousands of dollars a month to use HubSpot. So I'm able to replicate a lot of the things and HubSpot's awesome, but I'm able to replicate a lot of the same techniques I had with HubSpot using Squarespace and MailChimp.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Michael?
Yes, what's the best software or other source to track your data like where people are coming from and stuff? What's doing well, what's not doing well?
Well, it depends. If you're talking about just your website, the Google Analytics is free, and there's more information there than you'll ever be able to even understand. Actually, that's kind of the problem with Google Analytics. It gives you so much information, it's hard to know what you're supposed to focus on. So usually you want to pick a few key metrics like, traffic, and then bounce rate, like how many people are coming and leaving, and then conversion on your forms. But that's part of why HubSpot is so valuable. And again, I was working for a big company, so a small percentage of improvement can be thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you definitely wanted to have fine tracking of everything you were doing. At HubSpot, you build everything in their ecosystem, your website, your email marketing, your social media, and you're able to track. I posted something on Facebook, and that turned into this person became a lead, and then you could track it all the way into your CRM saying that turned out to be $5,000 in revenue. And you can have a dashboard and see all your channels and how much revenue is coming from every channel. But if you're like me, if you're a small business owner, that stuff is pretty expensive. So there's ways to, use the tools that are out there: Google Analytics, Squarespace for websites, MailChimp for email, Gmail, and being a little bit more intuitive, more hands-on. I mean, if you're like me and you're a one-man show, I know everything I'm putting out there, and I kind of know what's working and what's not working.
Hello, Michael. It's Younes again. One more thing. So
Okay.
what was the last one you said? The Square Chimp? It's for websites, right? Just to clarify.
Yeah, it's called Squarespace. Squarespace.
Ah, sorry. Square. Yeah. I mixed it with MailChimp. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. And those two tools work really well together. They're built to work together.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, because guys, I'm a marketer first. I've written marketing books. I was a marketing professor, but I've learned how to do this technical side. And I think more and more it's just going to be, you're going to kind of have to know how to use these tools to be an effective marketer.
Very cool. So let me flip it to you, Michael. You've been very generous with your time. How can we help you?
Well, if you know someone, most of my clients already have a website. It's just bad, or they're not actually getting customers from it. So if you know someone that can use some help with their website, or they say, hey, I can't get into my website, some guy built it and I don't know how to use it, those are all good clients for me. But I also help like churches and small groups and nonprofits, so that's a good client for me. And the other is if you're getting a newsletter and you said, man, this is ugly, they really need some help with their email marketing or their newsletter, again, that's a good client for me. I can really help them with that stuff.
All right, very cool. And we can contact you at michaeldane.com.
Yes, and all my info is there. All the social accounts, all the contact information. michaeldane.com is the best place to go.